everybody, and welcome to Cooking It Real. I'm Kathy, and I'm so glad you're with me today. I got a classic dish today that is loved by so many people all across the world. Lasagna. Do you love lasagna? Do you make your own lasagna? I don't have time to make lasagna. It takes forever. You gotta make a sauce. You gotta cook the meat. You gotta put everything together. The noodles, the seasonings. Oi, it's just too much. There are ways to simplify, and there are ways to do steps ahead that makes this a super easy dish to prepare. Let me show you how. You can make this lasagna and just watch your family and friends sit back like Fat Cat Garfield saying, so good.
Let's start with the tomato sauce. Into my Dutch oven, I put extra virgin olive oil, some fennel seed, a sprinkle of red pepper flake, and on medium-high heat, I've given that a stir to let the flavors develop. I've added about a quarter cup of my chopped yellow onion and a little bit of garlic, about 2 or 3 cloves, and an extra helping of the olive oil. I add 2 small cans of tomato paste and a little bit more chopped onion, maybe about a half a cup, and stir that all together and toast the tomato paste. A tablespoon each of granulated onion, garlic, oregano, and basil. Give it a great big stir. I added some white wine to my empty tomato paste can to get all the rest of the tomato paste out. Then I went can to can and used this liquid to deglaze the pan. If you don't want to use wine, you can certainly use water. I added 1 can of chopped tomatoes and 2 cans of tomato sauce, or you could add 2 cans of tomato puree. Give it a good stir and then simmer it covered on a low heat for about an hour or so until it's done to your liking. Now let's get started with our beef. In my large sauté pan, I skimmed it with a good amount of olive oil and then added the other half of my large chopped onion, as well as a couple more chopped garlic cloves. After they've sautéed for a couple of minutes and gotten a little bit of color, add some salt and pepper to season, and then add 2 pounds of ground chuck. As you begin the browning, add the same seasoning that we did to the tomato sauce: onion powder, garlic powder, oregano, and basil, about a tablespoon each. I love to season very aggressively when I'm making lasagna. Once the beef is fully cooked, set it aside to cool. And then if you're making your lasagna the same day, you can proceed with your recipe, or once it's fully cooled, store it in the refrigerator until you're ready to assemble the rest of your ingredients.
What I've got is a 1 pound block of mozzarella cheese, and I'm just going to shred it on the big holes of my grater. Of course, you can use the pre-shredded cheese, but if you've been here any length of time, you know I'm not a huge fan of that, mostly because of the things that they add, the anti-caking agents and things like that to keep it from clumping up in the bag. I'd much prefer to grate my own. You can also use sliced mozzarella, like from the deli. if you'd like, or you can use the bag stuff. It's totally up to you.
Now I'm going to use the coarse side of my grater to grate some fresh Parmesan. You can also use Parmesan that is pre-grated, or you can even use the Parmesan that comes in the green can. No judgment, it's all good.
And now for my ricotta, I have two 1-pound containers of ricotta cheese, whole milk ricotta. You can use whole milk ricotta. You can use part skim. You can use cottage cheese. A lot of people use cottage cheese. That's really how I grew up eating lasagna, was with cottage cheese rather than ricotta. And I'm just gonna put it into this bowl. I like a lot of ricotta. Come on, baby. There we go. I'm just gonna empty it into this bowl. Woo, plop, that was fast. Oh, come on, baby. There we go. Give this a little mush around. Now, optional, but what a lot of people do is they like to add egg to their ricotta. I am one of those people. Add 1 egg per pound of ricotta. So that's 2 pounds, 2 eggs. And a lot of people will tell you at this point to add some fresh parsley in there, along with a little salt. I don't have fresh parsley, so I'm just going to season with some of my dry stuff. I don't have dry parsley either. I almost never do. But I got some basil, some oregano, and a little bit of red pepper flake. I'm going to sprinkle that throughout. But for right now, I'm just going to give it like a hefty pinch of the basil, a smaller pinch of the oregano, and a good pinch of salt, maybe half a teaspoon, a little bit more, and maybe a boop of pepper, and maybe 2 boops. There we go. Now we're just going to mix that up. And adding the egg is completely optional. Okay, we're going to let this sit. And now with everything all prepped and ready, the last thing we're going to do is get our noodles ready. I have a 1-pound box of lasagna noodles, and I'm going to cook them a little bit different. The box says to cook them for 10 to 12 minutes, boil them, and then you're ready to assemble your lasagna. Now, many of you may have used the no-boil noodles, that you just lay the dry sheets of noodles onto your lasagna pan, and the moisture from the cheese and the sauce and all of that helps to cook the pasta. I'm going to do like a hybrid, okay? I'm not going to put these noodles in dry, although you can if you have enough sauce and you cook it long enough. But I'm going to do, like I said, a hybrid. I am going to just boil them for a few minutes and then just let them sit in hot water. so that they're super al dente and they finish cooking in the pan in the oven. All right, let's get those noodles ready. Okay, my water is boiling. I'm going to add a little pinch of salt, not too much. I've got a big pot here. I'm going to put my noodles in. I found that when I have in the past boiled my noodles, like for the recommended 10 or 12 minutes, they get a little bit broken up. I'm going to do this whole box too, because sometimes they do get broken up and you need to have some extra. All right. What's that? This is going to come back to a boil. I'm going to boil them for about 5 minutes and then just turn off the heat. All right, we're ready to assemble. All right, I've got my ground beef that's been pre-cooked, very highly seasoned. I got my tomato sauce that I made in advance, also highly seasoned. My ricotta with the eggs. My noodles, I'm letting them cool just a little bit so I can handle them. My grated cheeses, a little bit of seasoning, and I have a casserole dish. Now this casserole dish is kind of huge, okay? You don't have to make it in such a big dish. You can make it in any size you have. 9 by 13 is kind of a classic. This one is actually 10 by 15. So it looks big because it is big, but that's what I'm going to use. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a big dollop of sauce and we're going to put it on the bottom. And we're just going to spread it all around. And this is, part of what is going to get those noodles cooking and getting all nice and perfect. Whoop. There we go. You don't have to be 100% scientific here, but it'll all work. All right, the first thing we want is a layer of noodles. And I'm going to show you. See, these are still, they're not all limp and gushy, but they're not raw either. So we're going to, I think I'm going to get 4 across. Ooh, hot still. Still hot, still hot. 3. 4 this way. And 2 this way. If they come up the sides a little bit, that's okay. You can cut them if you want to make them fit better. Let's see, I might cut a little bit off of this one just for grins. There we go. Perfect. All right, now we're going to do a layer of ricotta. Just kind of glob it on. And I am hoping to get three layers and a top. So I want to use like a third of everything in each layer. If one gets more of one thing and less of another, that's okay. That works all right. Let's spread this around like so. And especially on at least one layer, you want to get everything really even, okay? Like, I mean, you want the ricotta not to miss any spots, at least on one layer. And then you don't have to be so particular. Now, if you like a real tall lasagna, shall we say, that has like 5, 6, 7 layers, you're going to have to use a smaller pan, or else you're going to have to make a lot more stuff. Let's see. There we go. That looks good. Good, good, good. All right, now we're going to do some of our ground beef. And this is cold out of the fridge. So here's some chunky bits and some less than chunky bits. And I'm just going to try to get a third of it on here. I'll organize it in a minute. There we go. Oh, that's my oven. Did I tell you to preheat to 375? If I didn't, I'm telling you now. When you start to assemble, it's probably a good time. Okay. I'm going to make sure I get nice coverage in this layer of ground beef. Okay. I'm going to give it a pinch of red pepper flake all around. It's like I said before, my meat, my sauce, it's all very well seasoned. I grew up in a house that was not afraid of flavor. And so, where's my towel? Oh, Will took it. Hang on. Right. All right, good. So I'm not afraid of flavor either. In fact, I'm going to use a tiny bit more oregano. This is fun. This is the fun part. And if you do everything in advance, you're not all frazzled by the time you're putting it all together. Now I'm going to do some Parmesan. About a third, almost. There we go. A little bit of mozzarella. And, you know, not everybody puts the mozzarella on every layer. Some people just do it on the top. You do you. I like to have some everywhere. I'm a little more stingy with it on the inside layers because that's just the way I do it. I'm doing me. Me do me. All right, now more sauce. More sauce. Let's go. Here we go. More sauce. Oh, smells so good. Now, a big, giant lasagna like this can feed quite a crowd. Let me think. How many servings would that be? At least 12. At least 12 servings, I would say. If you divide this into 4, you'd have and then divide it into thirds, you'd have a nice big chunk of lasagna. Oh, wouldn't that be good? All right, now another layer of noodles. And we're going to mirror the way we did it the last time. So, noodle. I always like to have the noodles touching sauce and touching ricotta. And you know, if you wanted to, you don't have to just go with ground beef. You could mix it with some ground Italian sausage, and you could also just do sausage or just do ground beef. It's totally up to you. Very customizable. All right, let's see. Cut off a little end here, like that. Nice. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make sure I have 6 left over for the top. 3, 4. Yes. Yes. It's going to work out perfectly. Now this one's a little bit broken, so he's the guy I'm gonna cut. There we go. Beautiful. All right, so one layer down, layer two. Now, you don't have to do any of this ahead if you don't want to. You can do it all in one afternoon or evening. It's going to take you a while, but it is totally doable. And there are shortcuts, of course, that you can do. You can use a jarred sauce. That's a easy shortcut if you have a favorite. Pasta spaghetti sauce or tomato sauce, shall I say, that you like, use it by all means. You can use pre-shredded cheese. The one thing is you have to cook your meat. You really have to cook your meat and in advance. Now, you don't even have to use ground beef or ground sausage. You could make like a chicken lasagna. That would work. And if you have a little bit of extra sauce, it might not be bad to leave a little bit extra so that when you serve, people have the option of having a little extra sauce on the side if they're so inclined. Alrighty, now last layer. Here we go. One. You know what? I got one extra, and I'm gonna kind of stitch these. I'm gonna overlap them just a tiny bit so that this top holds together a little bit better. Okay, everybody, move over. Perfect. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, you're gonna wait. You're next. There we go. Get a little hole there, little patch. Are you the kind that likes a crusty corner? A lot of people love to have that crusty corner too. All right, there we go. Just gonna tuck this down, tuck you in, tuck you in. All right, now that's our top. So it's like, well, what are we gonna do now? Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do some ricotta. Not too much on this layer. Just want to like a skim. We want to skim it over the top. Not everyone puts ricotta on their top, but I do. And so, since this is my show, my video, I'm doing it my way. Okay, here we go. You get on there. All right. Excellent. Now, I'm just going to do a little bit of seasoning. Like I said, you do you. You want to add additional seasoning, some onion powder, garlic powder. You like it a little more like some black pepper. You do you, really. A little bit of flakes. Yeah, that's good enough. All right, now some sauce to top it off. Yeah, baby. Yeah. So we just got to skim on the top here too. That works fine. Now we go for the gusto. Now we put our final layer of mozzarella on top. And this time we're kind of doing it like a pizza. We're really covering it. No, we're not being shy here, not at all. This is going to be ooey gooey, bubbly, maybe a little crusty if we're lucky. Love that. Love, love, love. Okay, come on now. And you know, if you're using slices on the top here, just like, you know, go crazy. Overlap them. Shingle them. There you go. That's the word I'm thinking of. Shingle. Shingle them right on. Okay. Just got a few more pieces left, and I still got a little bit of Parmesan there. I'm going to add that too. Don't you worry. That's going to be like the final, the coup de grace. The pièce de résistance. The good stuff. Yeah. All right. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Whew. Now, if you're having like a big get together, you know, family reunion or, you know, big birthday bash or something like that, you can make a couple of these. And actually, right at this point right now, if you didn't want to bake them right away and eat them, you could freeze them. Okay, what you would do is you'd take some plastic wrap and you would cover this completely in plastic wrap, and then you'd put some foil over the top of that, and I would mark it with the date and what it is, and then just put it right in your freezer. And then when you are ready for it, you can bring it out. You can thaw it overnight in the fridge, or if you're going to cook it, you just cook it a little bit longer. A lot longer actually, if you're cooking it from frozen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this on a sheet pan, just in case it gets bubbly. Oh my goodness, it's heavy. All right, hang on now. Oh, just like that. I'm going to put it in my 375. Nope. I spoke too soon. Before I do that, I'm going to cover this with foil. I'm going to use 2 pieces because it's kind of big. There we go. All right, it's covered with foil. I'm going to cook this at 375 for 25 minutes. I'm going to take off the foil and cook it for another 25 minutes. All right, we'll check it in 25. Ugh. Okay, my lasagna is out of the oven, but I had a little bit of trouble. And because we're cooking it real, and I always want to keep it real, let me show you what I mean. All right, it's out of the oven. And you can probably, can you see, is it still bubbling? It's very hot, very hot. The issue that I had was that the cheese, the mozzarella on top, the crowning glory, stuck to the aluminum foil. And so some of it peeled off. I was able to put some of it back, but it's not quite the full coverage that I had before. But it still looks pretty good though, doesn't it? All right, what we're going to do now is we got to let this cool for a good long time because it is blistering. And then we're going to give it a cut and give it a taste. All right, this has cooled. It's still a little bit warm. It's definitely not cool, but let's give it a cut and serve up a piece. Let's see, So see, this is a good size, I think. It's kind of like a pie. Maybe the first one's hard to do. Ooh. How's that look? One for me, one for Will. I didn't ask him if he was a corner guy or a middle guy. When he gets in here, we'll let him choose the piece he wants. All right. Ooh, here we go. Oh, losing a piece. Still good, still good. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Let's give this a taste. Oop, we're clinking plates.
Very good. I love the ricotta. Hamburger, pasta, everything. Cheese.
Ooh, that is good.
Sauce.
What do you think about how the noodle is cooked?
Perfect.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted to hear. All right. All right. All right. Getting crazy. He's already loading up a second helping when he has only taken a bite of the first. I said this could feed like a bunch of people. Anyway.
Maybe.
Maybe. Thanks for joining us today, joining us right now. Please like and subscribe. And until I see you again, keep cooking it real. Bye, everybody.
Bye.